Look familiar? It might to some of you. This is the five-star sheet that we would see at Dr. Carrot's Grand Rounds back at CBC. This was a very common exercise that was given to patients to help them work on their gaze stability. And the idea of it was at each of these points there would be a yes, yes, or a no, no performed to help stabilize the patient's gaze. So normally it would be like, for instance, most of the time what I do is I start in the center, have a no, no, or yes, yes. They would move to the right, back to the center, to the top, back to the center, to the left, back to the center, and to the bottom, back to the center. So it was a saccade, then no, no, or yes, yes. Now I want to give you a clinical gem at the end of this video that's important for you to understand on using this exercise. But let's go over just how to set it up first. So over here you'll see that we're going to use numbers 2, 5, 6, 4, and 8. So in this case we're going to go 5 to 6, and then back 6 to 5, 5 to 2, back to 2 to 5, 5 to 4, back to 5, 5 to 8, and then back to 5. I call it the 5-star. I usually only do it once, so you don't have to worry about repeating it. You can choose the dot size depending on the patient's needs, and you can also choose this dot spacing depending on the patient's needs. I have it set up at 75% from the center, so it's not quite to the full edge there. So there are 8 steps, okay, and all the steps are basically set up pretty well the same way, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go over step 1. It's going to be an express saccade. Start target, you see, is at 5. It's going to go to 6. I'm just using a dot with a black center. Again, you can change that based on the patient's needs. I just picked blue, just hypothetically. And what's important is the next 2 setups. Initial pause. If you want to give the patient all the time they need to perform the no, no, or yes, yes, you use the tap function on the initial pause. And so that is at the beginning before it moves. In order for it to move, the patient will tap it, and I'll show you what that looks like. The final pause, set it up, all your steps will be set up as 1 second except for the last one, and I'll explain why that happens. You're just going to do 1 saccade, so it's just going from 5 to 6, and then I like to add a little sound, so I use a water droplet sign. Okay, so all of them are set up from steps 1 to 7 just like that. Okay, just hitting the different spots. On 8, on the last step, I want them to go from the bottom back to the center. The only thing I made different is I tap to begin the saccade, but if I don't tap, the last no, no, or yes, yes that's performed at the center, I give them all the time they need, and instead of 1 second, because it'll say after 1 second complete, and it might be too fast for them. So I also add that as a tap, so that when they're finished that last no, no, or yes, yes, they just tap the screen, and then it says complete. Okay, but all the other settings are the same. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so here they're going to do a yes, yes, or a no, no, and as soon as they're done, they just tap, goes over to the next position, yes, yes, no, no. Whenever they're done, tap, back to center, yes, yes, no, no, tap, up top, yes, yes, no, no, back to center, yes, yes, no, no, over to the left, yes, yes, no, no, back to the center, yes, yes, no, no, down the bottom, yes, yes, no, no, to the center. Okay, then they do one final yes, yes, no, no, and it doesn't complete until you tap it. Then it says complete. So that's the gaze stability exercise. Now, here is the clinical gem I want to give you. You do not, I repeat, you do not do saccades, then yes, yes, or no, no's if a patient cannot stabilize their gaze after a saccade. You might see this in your bedside, you might see this in your VNG if you have one, and you might see this in your saccadometer with drifts, okay? So if they, for example, cannot stabilize their gaze after a saccade to the right, guess what you're going to do? You're going to have them pursue to the right. So you go back and you change this, say that's step 1 and it's to the right. So instead of 5 to 6 being a gap saccade, I'm going to actually have them pursue to that and then do the yes, yes, or no, no. And that will help them stabilize their gaze better, and it will help their neural integrator change that step pulse position to a step position. Okay? So just make sure you note that. Can a patient stabilize their gaze better after a saccade, or can they stabilize better after a pursuit? Very key. So for some people, you might have to pursuit upward. Or if they can't saccade with an upward saccade, they may have to pursue upward. If it's to the left, you do it you do it opposite to the right. So instead of a saccade to the left, they have to pursue to the left. Every other direction can be a saccade, but you're going to help them get that pulse step mismatch corrected when you pick the right preceding movement, whether it be a saccade or a pursuit. Hopefully that helps. Set it up. You have it saved. Then you can pull it out whenever you want, and you can tweak it based again on those patient findings. Talk to you soon. Bye.